All right, y'all. We just need to start talking about Kit today. Kit, get over here. Get over here. Kit is the lady behind the scenes that does all the work.
Kit is our queen.
Look at her.
Kit, give the people some wisdom. Give them some wisdom.
Cute.
Come on.
Your favorite quote. What you love about life.
Kit is an angel. She's truly an angel.
We hope one day you
She's
all get to
so
meet
kind.
Kit. So that's all.
The only reason we're here is because of Kit.
Amen.
That's facts.
Welcome to This Is Kingdom. Thanks all be to, wait.
Thanks
Thanks to Kit. Thanks to Kit. Welcome to This Is Kingdom. Wow, that was a trick for me. Thanks to Kit. Welcome to This Is Kingdom. This is Grace.
This is Talon.
This is TJ. This is Hollis.
And this week we're studying the talk Pillars and Rays by Elder Alexander.
This talk is so good. After this talk, I got
Youth love this talk.
And he was so good at speaking.
He was.
Like when he was talking,
Remember,
I was
we were in my kitchen
Yeah.
listening to it, and we were all like, "Whoa!"
like, yeah, he went.
No, while he was
off.
talking, my mouth was on the floor the whole time.
He did so good. He did so good. When I was on my mission, my mom's best friend, she's Christian. She's not a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And she has been one of my mentors my entire life. Just a dear, dear friend of mine. And she wrote me all of the time on my mission. She didn't even hesitate. Like she has just been there with me throughout my entire spiritual journey. And she's really been someone I've looked up to. And one time I emailed her on my mission and I was like, Nish, just tell me the story about your relationship with God. Tell me how it happened. How did you grow it? How did you figure it out? Like what happened? And I anticipated when I asked her that she was going to tell me this story that was just like, holy cow, like you had this moment when you were like 19 that just changed your life completely. And she wrote me back this letter. And I still read it. I save it in my notes app and I read it truly all of the time. Like if I ever just need a boost in my relationship with God, I read it. And I'm just going to read a little part of it today. She said, from high school until now, my story isn't all that dissimilar to yours. I've got some years on you, a marriage and a pair of kids, but it's the same in so many ways. It's a love story of miracles and prayers answered and worship and awe. He laces up his shoes and he gets in it with me. He shows himself to me that he loves me in the way my husband looks at me and the way that the clouds sparkle on the surface of the lake in the summer. I see it in the smiles and the laughter of my children and the tears of my friends who grieve. I've seen it in the Purple Mountain's majesty and in a giant ice cream cone on summer's hottest day. I've seen it in the contentment of the poorest of the poor, in the magic of Christmas morning, in the humor of seeing Scout in a spandex Spider-Man costume, and in the way the birds sound first thing in the morning outside of my window. My list would be longer than you'd ever have time to read. The only advice I have is to keep those eyes wide open. Wide open and honest, girl, is the only way to go about the world and experience the fullness of God's love. And when I heard that, the first time I heard it, I was so astonished because I started realizing that her relationship with God was not founded on one moment that changed everything for her. But in all reality, her relationship with God was founded in a million tiny moments that helped her fall in love with him. And I think so often that's the case, that we're looking for this one moment that's going to change our heart and open our eyes and do everything and make us a whole different person. When I think that God's up there and he's like, wait, I've been telling you I loved you every single day in a million different ways, in ice cream cones and mountains and the lake and a million different things. And I just need you to live life wide-eyed. I just need you to see it because I will show up every single day for you in a million little ways. That's how you fall in love with him.
The craziest thing to me was, would you mind pulling it up real quick? Just like the end, like that action item at the end. That's so cool. Keep those eyes open, wide-eyed, and honest. It's so hard to do that in our lives right now. Like, I'm just thinking about me, and especially with social media and just everything, like everyone's trying to grab our attention. You know what I'm saying? And so like, what a powerful action item and what a powerful maybe goal. Maybe what about a summer goal? You know what I'm saying? Why don't we just take this to God? God, help me have my eyes wide open, honest, to see your hand working in my life and to see your hand working in all of our lives.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I love that. What she just read reminds me of the quote that he drops in his talk. And it's something along the lines of, in our search for the spectacular, we miss the constant flow of communication from God to us. And
That is a good line.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes we're so like, what's the big thing? What's the big miracle? What's the thing I can almost not show off, but tell other people that God is in my life, when he's being evident in our life every single day through all the little things. During his talk, there was like a part of his talk where he says, I remember this, I remember this, I remember this. And it inspired me, guys, to make an I remember list. Like a
That's sick.
list of ways I have seen God in my life, either big or small, because I promise you, if you start making a list, it'll get a lot bigger than you
Wait,
could
tell
ever
us some of the
imagine.
things on your list.
Dude,
Oh,
that's
okay.
sick, bro.
Yeah. Because I think while you're finding it, I'm going to say this. Or do you have anything you want to just
No, you
add?
go, you go.
Okay.
I'm gonna start my I remember
Is-
list right now.
I feel like I've talked to so many people lately that say, I just don't feel like God's talking to me right now. I feel like God's silent. I feel like I have never heard God speak to me in my entire life. And that is a real feeling.
Yeah.
That is really honest to be able to look at your life and say that. And I am not trying to like discount that at all. But I also think that maybe that's a really good first step, is to widen your eyes and look a little bit bigger and look in the places that you've never seen and say, okay, what if God's speaking to me? I just need to open my eyes a little bit bigger and see where he shows up. And he tends to show up in places that we least expect it.
I love that. And there's just like a bunch of like little things I put on here. But it's like, I remember him when he helped me find my AirPods. You know, I remember him in the conversation I had with my grandma. I remember him when I was at work and felt his love. I remember him when I opened up my Book of Mormon. Just like these really simple little things. And when I look at all of them, like, God's there. Like when I don't feel like he's talking to me or don't feel like he's there, I look at that list and I'm like, wait, he is there. I'm not missing out. Maybe I'm just missing on the little glimpses of him in every day.
I'm just thinking about like all the times in the scriptures. Like I'm thinking of Nephi. I'm thinking of like all these prophets who kind of, the story pauses in the Book of Mormon and then they go on a I remember spree. You know what I mean? Don't you remember when he split the Red Sea and when he delivered these people, and when like there's constant I remember moments in the Book of Mormon, like, and in the scriptures, like they stop and it's such a important lesson for us. Like I literally just made my I remember note right now. I hope everyone listening makes an I remember note, because if prophets are doing it in the scriptures and they needed it to remind their people, we need to be doing it too, to remind us and to remind our people. And the second thing that hit me is when you think of like Alma, and you think of Joseph Smith, they kind of had their pillar. You know what I mean? They kind of had some big spiritual experiences, but it was followed with many rays and many small and simple, keeping their wise eye open and having constant spiritual experiences, because the persecution did not just stop when they had their pillar. And it's the same for us. Our persecution, our opposition, our tough things is not going to stop when we have our pillar. We need to keep looking for those rays. We need to keep remembering, and we need to have our eyes wide open and see how God is working.
And a quick plug on that as well. It's hard to remember something you don't write down. Every time someone tells me an amazing experience, something I've developed a habit in and I'm getting better at it is,
You are so good at this.
I was like, have you
Yeah.
written that down? Like when someone like bears their testimony to me, when someone cries to me and shares this beautiful moment with me, I always want to ask, did you write that down? And what's sad is over half the time it's, no, I haven't. And I'm like, are you like, this is going to be so beautiful for you later in your life. This is going to be beautiful for your kids, your like wife or husband, the people special to you. Write these things down so you can remember them.
Yeah, this is a good chat for me now. This was a hard chat for teenage me. Teenage me hated, I feel like people would always ask, like, when have you heard of God? Like, what testimony, building experience have you had? And I'd always share this experience when I was 8 years old and lost a baseball and prayed to find it, and I found it. But like, I didn't feel like I had experience, so that was like my cop-out answer. You know what I mean? And I felt super frustrated because people would always just be like, you need to kneel down, ask God if he loves you, and just, he'll tell you that he loves you. And I would get on my knees and I would just sit there and I would just wait. Say, God, do you love me? And I would just wait and wait and wait and wait. And I wouldn't feel anything. And I got to like my senior year in high school, I really thought I just wasn't a spiritual person. And I really just came to accept that stuff doesn't work for me. And it's so interesting now because looking back, I can see so many, like I could pinpoint so many different times that he was talking to me, but I didn't notice it because I was so caught up on people telling me these stories of kneeling down and asking if God loves me and feeling his love in that moment. I thought if that wasn't happening, then he wasn't talking to me, because for some reason I put God in that box. And so I love this chat because I just feel like it's so important to realize God is going to talk to you in your language. And the more that I learned about God, the more that I realized I've grown up playing sports. Like sports are my love. My relationship with coaches are my most valued relationships. God talks to me like a coach. And I know Grace is going to hear that and be like, ooh, I don't want God to talk to me like a coach. That's how God works for me. Like I've realized all these times that God will invite me. He'll talk to me like a coach of like, hey, you should try this. Hey, let me invite you to do this. Let me challenge you to do this. And looking back, I can see that in my lowest points, he was stepping in, giving me these invitations, but I was looking for the wrong thing. And so, man, I just wish I could sit with any person that feels like God's not talking to them and just look at your life. Like, look at what's happening. And I am sure you would find that he has been reaching out in some way or another.
There's this show that I love, and they like always, it's a team, it's a football team, and they always have this phrase that they say. And it's like well known. They always like cheer it before like they go play. And
Friday
it's
Night
so
Lights.
simple.
I already know what
It's
I know
so
where you're
simple.
going.
It's so simple. And it's just clear eyes, full hearts can't lose. And they say it over and over and over again. And there's so many days in my life that I just repeat that in my head. Clear eyes, full hearts can't lose. And the more that I've said it, the more that the meaning has become something so personal to me in my relationship with God. Because I think so often my eyes are not clear. But the more that I clear up my eyes and I look around and I say, okay, where has God showed up? And God can show up in simple things like heads up pennies and fireworks in the sky. And God can show up when someone texts you that you didn't expect. And God can show up in someone praying for you. God can show up in a million ways that might seem simple and insignificant to everyone else on earth, but to you, it means the world. And your eyes being clear will fill up your heart. The clearer your eyes are, God will fill up your heart over and over and over again with his love. And I think that's why we can't lose. And I think that's the pattern that I want to live my life. I want clear eyes so that I can see God dumping out his love to me. And I want a full heart because I cannot even believe how much God loves me. And I know if I feel like that, I will not lose. I cannot lose because when God is just absolutely consuming every ounce of your heart, it's impossible to lose with love like that.
I love what Talon was saying about how he's going to speak very individually to all of us. We were at a training the other week and Bonnie Corden was there. And she said something that I really love. She's like, God is not going to speak Bonnie to Hollis and Hollis, or God's not going to speak Hollis to Bonnie, right? Like he has certain individual languages for all of us. And we need to let the way he speaks to others inspire us instead of being envious of the way he speaks to others. Because when you let it inspire you, I think that's when you can find those little rays. And I feel like I've heard this quote from like 7 different people, and we've heard it all the time. But it's like when you can't find God's hand in your life, look for his fingerprints. When you can't find the ray or these pillars of light, look for those rays. It's in the small moments that he's there.
And I think that's such an important thing to realize that God will speak to you individually, and it might take a second to figure out how he does. And that can be really frustrating. It can feel really isolating. It can really alter your relationship with him. But something that I think is so beautiful is that's the purpose of life. And the relationship means more the more effort you put into it. You will love him more, you will care for him more. And I think that the more work you put into that relationship, the more it'll mean. And so, yeah, maybe you're struggling right now to know how he speaks to you. Maybe you're feeling like he's never spoken to you. Maybe you're like, don't tell me to open my eyes because I'm trying to open my eyes. But to that, I would say that is life. That's the thrill of life. That sometimes life leaves you disappointed and heartbroken and confused and isolated and lonely. That's true about it. But that is part of the beauty of life, that there are going to be goods and bads, ups and downs, and just ride that, live in that, love it, because that's what's going to happen, you know?
So with all of that, what you just said, Grace, I have to share this quote that he said. He said, the reality and power of one ray of testimony reinforces and combines with another and then another. It's like what you just said. And another, line upon line, precept upon precept, here a ray and there a ray, one small treasured spiritual moment at a time. There grows up within us a core of light-filled spiritual experiences. And man, I just have to say, everyone that's here hanging with us right now, like, start right now. Get in that comment section and share some rays, man. Let's write it down. I can't wait to go home so I can start writing down my I remembers. It's crazy. The other night, dear, as I lay sleeping, I dreamed I held you in my arms. When I awoke, dear, I was mistaken. So I bowed my head and I cried. You are my sunshine, My only son.
Hollis, if you're gonna sing, you gotta sing, bro.
You make me happy when skies are gray. Come on, y'all. You never know. Yeah, come on, Grace. How much I love you. Please don't take
My sunshine away. Really, I just didn't know the words to that. I'm sorry.
I tried.
See you next week. Hopefully, we'll be better.